Fellow teachers. So you're worried about cheating, the cheating that your students might do in this COVID environment. All right, so I've put together a few ideas for you. We're going to focus on Google Forms, and there's a couple of things, or a few things that we can do that can help limit things down, although they do increase cognitive load on your students. So things like timed events, I've never been a fan of that. You take a timed quiz, or there's no backtracking to check your answers, etc. So these things that I traditionally don't do. Somebody asked me to prepare a video on how to do them. So here's how we're going to do it. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to start with a quiz. Let's close this up here. So we'll start with a new quiz. More in the mode of a form, if you will. So we're going to call this the form to stop all cheating. It's like a bag of holding, but it stops cheating. If I click here, then it migrates to the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of multiple choice questions, and I'm going to show you the settings behind the back end so we can actually limit the students down in basically in, for lack of a better word, co-contamination, where they're sharing information. All right, so if I click on this one and it's multiple choice, and then we're going to make a real simple question. So what color, I'm Canadian, leave me alone, is the sky? Oh, Vistaprint. All right, so what color is the sky? And then red, blue, green, pink. Or as my niece in Brazil calls it, pinky. All right, so required question. And so first you're saying, but Dr. Ellis, wait, hold up. What's going on here? This isn't a quiz, this is a form. Yeah, okay, you got me. So I'm going to click on the little cog up top, hit quizzes, make a quiz. So if you're a Chromebook user and your school's distributed out Chromebooks, look, there's another feature that you can limit things down. So this allows the system to like close up all the other tabs, so you can't have other tabs open when the quiz is open. Cool feature, right? Okay, that's nice, but you know, they could always have a different browser open, like Firefox if it's installed, or hey, they could use their phones, right? Yeah. Okay, so then we can release a grade right after submission or not. If you got some narrative responses in there, probably going to do it later on after manual review. So we're going to save there for a second. All right, check this out now. If I drop these dots down, I can then go shuffle options order, or shuffle option order. All right, so that's going to jumble up every time the page refreshes. It's going to jumble up the red, blue, green, and pink. So the responses. Again, makes it a little incrementally harder for students to cheat on the fact that they're not in the same order, because they can't say, hey, choose number two. Number two is going to be wrong because they're at a different order if they're on the phone FaceTiming together and saying, hey, it's this one. Okay. In a non-complex quiz like this, it's easy to say it's blue. The answer is blue. So not super effective, okay? But we're working on a scale here. So let's go to the next level of thing. So next one. Going to create a duplicate. Why do I do a duplicate? Because guess what? That means this setting saves. I don't need to reset it every friggin' time. All right, so here we go. So how many days did we spend back at school before the COVID closed us down again? And then we change the response. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, look at that. Okay, so now that I've got these set, and I know that it's a quiz. I'm going to click back on my first one. I'm going to go to the answer key down the bottom and select the correct answer, which happens to be blue. 5 points? Sure. But if I want to, I can make it 1 point or 51 points. Done. Go down here. It was a whopping 4 days before we had to close down school again because of the COVID. And there's the answer key. So there's the 4 and yeah, 1 point. Done. Okay, so then you're saying to yourself, all right, but I mean, it's still going to be simple for them to cheat. All right, so let's go to the next layer. Next layer is we drop this gear down again, and of course you're going to either collect email addresses or you're going to have a space on the form that they can drop their name into, right? They can write their name into. Okay, so we're going to do one response. Why? Why one response? Easy. We don't want them to be able to print this thing off or look at it and study it and then go back and do it, right? Right. All right, so we'll do that, but then we go over to presentation and we can shuffle the question order as well. So that means, item 10, question number 10 might show up as question number 2 for one student and question number 10 for the other. So again, creates more cognitive load as we have to go through this item, right? As we go through the test and try to decode which order everything's in, okay? So, and well, they share information. Hit save there. All right. So those are 2 things. You're thinking to yourself by now, this is not enough. This is not going to deter the cheating that inevitably is going to happen. All right, so let's do this. So to go to the next level, right, to level up, if you will, you need to install this thing. So Form Limiter allows you to close a form automatically at a specific day and time. All right, so if we add that in, so you hit Forms Add-on, once you Google it and find it in the marketplace, then over in your form here, it's going to create something right here, add-ons. So if I go there and I click on Form Limiter and I hit Set Limit, aha, haha, limit time. All right, so limit type here, we can do number of responses. That's not going to work in your case because that's going to shut out half of your students from the response. So depending on what you set it as. So if I go date and time, and I'm just going to pick Monday, and so it's going to end at 3:30. Set. And then save and enable. Okay, so now it's saved and enabled. It's good to go. Good to go. So what we're going to do is, over in the classroom here, I've already played around with this a million times today. So if I want to bring in that quiz from my drive, I hit create, and then quiz assignment, and we'll call this quiz, because I already have a quiz 1. We'll call it quiz 2. Brilliant. Quiz 2. Take the quiz and remember it closes at 3:30 p.m. Okay, this one goes. This one comes in. And that was the one. So we insert. Okay, so it'll grade import. So points. It's out of 100 points. It's ridiculous because it's a 2-point quiz. Due date. Hey, guess what? It was Monday, which is what we decided, at, noting formatting, 3:30 p.m. That's not 3:30 p.m. 3:30 p.m. Okay, don't need a topic, don't need a rubric, don't need to check for plagiarism unless I'm doing a narrative response, and then it'll work. Okay, so then you're thinking to yourself, okay, so, but if they have access to it forever beforehand, they can mess with it, right? And share it and do all that stuff. Okay, Well, instead of that, we're going to drop this down and we're going to schedule this. So this thing's only going to become live at 3 p.m. Okay, again, I already selected the date previously. So this thing only comes live and shows up for them at 3 p.m. Of course, you want to give them fair warning, right? You want to tell them, and through your daily mail outs, and you're using reminds and all that stuff of when they need to have these particular things fulfilled, right? Transparency. So, transparent expectations lead to success and no more gotchas in school. So, as I drag this down, I see that it's scheduled for 3:30 that day. Again, relying on my information flow and how I'm actually pushing the information out. We want to make that transparent to students that that's the case. Here's the expectation. Here's what you're going to do at this particular window of time. All right, so recapping. We've jumbled up the responses so they go in random order. We've jumbled up the questions so they went in random order. We've made it a timed event. Of course, the time event is not going to be good for your students that have identified disabilities and are on an IEP or on a 504 plan. So you're going to have to create an alternative assessment that mirrors this, but probably with different questions because they might have extended time, right? Or other accommodations. So that's just normal process for us. But now you're saying to yourself, Dr. Ellis, how can I make it more limited down, more effective, and really, really hone in on how to get them to stop cheating? All right, so the deal is this. In other learning management systems, you can have it so each quiz question is presented by a separate page. So basically they're presented one at a time. Probably the most effective strategy, because if you think about it, if they're presenting one at a time for each person and it's randomized and there's no backtracking, how are they going to cheat? You can add yet another layer in other learning management systems that you create a data bank, right? So we actually have a question bank that selects, say, 15 questions out of 100 for each student, and then there's no way, because of randomization, that they're going to have a problem with cheating. So let's look at this as an alternative to Google Forms for a second. So if we use a platform like Quizzes and use that instead, it might be a more viable option. So if I click on the instructor dashboard and I hit create, and I'm going to call it question by question format. And we're going to create that same multiple choice that we did over in the other one. So what color is the sky? Red, blue, green, pinky. Okay, so we click off on here, and this allows us presentation format. So it's kind of like runs like Kahoot does, in the fact that it gives us X number of minutes, seconds, etc. Okay, so I'll do 60 seconds there, then save, and then I'll do another multiple choice, just so we have two to work with. Okay, how many days until the COVID shut us down? 1, 2, 3, 4. The answer is 4. Again, 60-second, and then I hit save. Okay, so let's say we're done with this. Okay, so if I hit done, quiz details, you can add an image, you can set the language, you can make it public and visible to everyone, or private and only visible to me, etc., etc. So, yeah. Okay, so from there, I can actually assign it as homework. So if I hit assign as homework, again, we'll go with that August 3rd, 3:30 p.m. format again, and hit, well, I would hit continue, but I'm actually going to assign it to a class. So I have a class in my Google classroom. I have Portuguese for Dummies when I tutored Portuguese at AU when we're doing study abroad. So I'm going to assign that one. Hit next. Okay, then it's going to show up in my flow, of which I can actually copy that out. So it's going to show up here. Let's redo it because now it's going to show up twice. When I click on the link from my Google Classroom, it takes me to a sign-in page. So if I was a student, it would take me to the sign-in page for the first time. Sign in with Google. It's going to send me the verification code because it's my first time in. And then I can start the game. So you remember it was a timed event, right? Because we set up for 60 seconds at a time. So colors of sky, blue. See the cognitive load issue there? And that completes the quiz. Okay, so again, so when you assign the game within their system, you can actually limit it down for a window of time exactly when the game starts and stops, and that limits it down. And as you saw, it presents one question at a time. Okay, and we had set it up to be randomized. So again, that takes us back to the initial point. So that's one more way that we can limit it down within Google Classroom, having used a different system. So we can go slide by slide and randomized, or question by question and randomized at that point. See that it's recorded over into your grades within your Google Classroom. So there's the student that was added, that's the fictitious me, and in grades there's quizzes 2.2. So, and I've assigned it twice at this point as two different profiles. So hopefully that helps you guys out in terms of limiting down the options for cheating.